a believer, a Christian, why should you care? Let me, Jordan, if you don't mind, share my screen here right quick. Back in June, I shared this on the conversation here of just meeting with different candidates. I've met with both sides of the aisle, the independent right here, RFK Jr., and here are my 5 game-changing policies to earn my vote. And by the way, should you even care about politics? Well, Plato once said one of the penalties of not getting involved in understanding politics is to one day be ruled by your inferiors. Do you want to be ruled by inferiors? Do you want to be ruled by people that make knucklehead decisions without any common sense? Hint, hint. What do you think has been going on in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years? A lot of common sense has flown out the window. And some would say that the last 3, 4 years have been even more lacking common sense than ever in the history of America. So we're going to break it down, and why should this matter too? Because at the end of the day, this affects our livelihood. This affects, obviously, our country. It affects your happiness and enjoyment, fulfillment, and goals and dreams that you want to accomplish. Well, here's my 5 game-changing policies for any presidential candidate. I'm not leaning right. I'm not leaning left. I want to know who has an answer to these 5 most important things that matter to me as a believer, as a father, as a entrepreneur, as somebody that runs a company that impacts thousands and thousands of people, that my contribution to America here with my children, the next generation, in terms of the education and opportunities they will have in their future when they're in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, et cetera. So I got to be involved because I'm planning for the future. I plan to have an impact of our family last name for a very, very, very long time. I'm interested in creating Generation Null, at least 3, 4, 5 generations. And everything I'm doing today is about the long game. Everything I'm doing today is to make sure my children, my children's children, and my children's children have somewhat of an impact on mine, both from a financial standpoint and also ambition standpoint, mindset standpoint, obviously belief in our creator above standpoint. Why? Because they're going to be drawing money from our family trust for a very long time. That's my aspirations. I think many of you would love to create financial aspirations too as well. But let's go over these economic policies before we jump into some reactions here on last night's debate. But here's my 5 criteria based on what I put here. Number 1 is economic policy. At the top of my list, I got to know what you're going to be doing with our economy. So we're going to be listening here to this debate. By the way, this is my first time reacting to this. We're both watching this live together. And we're going to see what your opinion is on the economic policies of both sides, what you would desire in terms of economic policies on your end. Number 2 is immigration policies. You know, living in Texas, I firsthand see the ease of illegal border crossings. Over 10 million people here undocumented illegally crossed the border. And what's worse about it, a lot of them are having benefits, potentially even voting rights, and they don't even have a social security number. They're not even a citizen. And yet they're taking resources, money, away from citizens, veterans. How should you feel about it? What is their thoughts here about the immigration policy or the illegal border crossings in the southern border? Number 3, defense policy. What should our recruitment be like in terms of building a strong military? Listen, if there's one thing, there's 4 things, right? There's 4 things in terms of relationships. Do you want to be loved? Do you want to be liked? Do you want to be respected? Or do you want to be feared? Now, amongst your friends and family, you might want to be liked and loved. Maybe around to your peers, you might want to be respected. But who do you want to be amongst your enemies? The people that you know are scheming behind you, that are cyber attacking you, that are finding ways to economically hinder you, or countries that not necessarily may be on our side. Do you want to be liked? Do you want to be loved? Do you want to be respected? Oh, hey, brother and sister, do you want to be feared? Here's one thing I know. Amongst my enemies, I absolutely 100% want to be feared. I'm going to be that beast. I'm going to be that monster that is capable of taking you out. Now, I may not take you out, but that's my decision. And I want to make sure our military, if we need to guard our walls, protect our borders, defend our country, defend our future growth of our nation, I want to make sure our enemies understand that we are not just liked, loved, respected. I want to make sure our enemies know that we are to be feared. Feared. And so I want to make sure that our military is not only respected amongst its ranks, but feared amongst the other countries. Because it keeps people from what? Making stupid, dumb, selfish, idiotic decisions that affect our happiness, our peace, our sovereignty, our liberties, our freedoms, our way of life here in America. I want to make sure defense policy is at the top. Number 4, education policy. Let me ask you a question. How many people right now are confident and trust the public education system? Grade school, middle school, junior high, high school, college. A couple years ago, I interviewed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk and I are from Illinois. He went to Wheeling. I was in Cicero, Berwyn area. And one thing I could 100% respect from him is that regardless of your thoughts and beliefs, I will make sure my children are equipped with our education to make a difference in this world, not to shift down some ideology or shove down some ideology down their throats that I don't agree with, that mom and dad don't agree with. Matter of fact, here in Dallas, yes, Dallas, we pulled our son out of a private education school. Why? Because they want to shove LGBTQ ideologies down our throat, and we opted out. Next week, the following week, everybody at school in 6th, 7th, 8th grade eventually turned gay over the weekend. What? Listen, it's hard enough to be a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, to find your own identity, to find your own education, what subjects you like and who you are as a person, and then to throw another area of confusion in terms of sexuality down their throats? I mean, there's timing for everything. I'm an entrepreneur. There's a timing for when you roll out certain campaigns. I'm not so sure that's an ideology I want taught at the age group. Maybe later on, but 6th, 7th, 8th grade, kindergarten, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Are you serious? So I want to know what's up with the education policy of either candidate, and last but not least, foreign policy. It's time to prioritize our homeland. We've outsourced jobs, businesses, over-deployed our troops, and provided disproportionate financial aid abroad. Resources that should support our citizens and veterans now facing tough times should be reallocated, redirected to them. All right. So our votes and influence matter more now than ever. And I pray that you've registered to vote. If you move, for example, a lot of us move from Illinois, California, New York, et cetera, different states around the country. We've came here to Dallas, Texas to build an office here in Carrollton, Texas. And I've got close to 600 people every week. We have workshops twice a week to teach people about personal finance, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and how to take care of their finances once and for all. And our workshops are packed. And we've asked everybody, listen, if you're going to be here, in Texas, have you at least gotten your new driver's license? Why? Because you got your new driver's license, guess what you can do? Register to vote. So we've been even doing that often. I encourage you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a manager, if you're on a team, I encourage you to ask around, not to shove down what you think or who you think you should vote for, but ask them, are you registered to vote? Are you using this opportunity to get there and get ahead and get people to exercise one of the greatest rights they have here in America, which is the opportunity to vote? And I want to encourage you. So, well, Matt, does my vote really matter? Listen, everybody working together, because we all live together. We're building this country together. We have to live with each other, regardless if you like it or not. All of us working together. And the government should be what? Working for the people, not for the government. It should be working for you. So if you don't exercise your right, guess what? You're allowing somebody else to exercise their tyranny and ideology over what you feel is right. And next thing you know, Plato's quote comes true in your life. To not be involved in politics is to one day eventually be ruled by your inferiors. Is that what you want? And next thing you know, you're trying to raise your kids and go to this school, and this law is changing your life. You're like, this whole law situation violates common sense. But yet, you didn't vote. You didn't get involved. Whose fault is it then? So take ownership of everything you can do to make your contribution to this country known. As small and diminutive as you think it is. Why? Because if more people start thinking like that, oh, that's my vote don't matter. My vote don't matter. 5 people think like that. 20 people think like that. 20,000 people think like that. 200,000 people, 2 million people think like that. And guess what? 2 million people, sadly, has not exercised their vote, but the knuckleheads. And now you're complaining because now the knuckleheads aren't in power. See, that's why you should at least understand what's going on. And by the way, I was talking to our receptionist here because I was with her in the elevator. So what do you think about the debate? She goes, Matt, the more I've gotten older or gotten more mature in my life, and she's in her 20s, she goes, the more I realize how important this stuff is. Because when I was younger, I may not have understood, immigration and economic policy and da-da-da-da-da. But now I start to really see how bad decisions, bad policies are starting to affect my life. And I've just begun. For example, her working a job here, honorable job, punch in, punch out, one of the most greatest personalities you can have working at the front desk to receive all the podcast hosts and guests, C-suite executives come in and all the people, staff to come in. Great personality for that role. You're telling me her who works hard, honors her job, honors her boss, honors her faith. You're telling me her, a person like that, working 9 to 5, and the average annual income here that she's earning in Texas, she can't afford to buy an average house in Texas all by herself. She's got to join her financial resources with somebody else so they don't get married or with the wrong partner or the wrong person. They can't afford to buy their own condo. They can't afford to buy their own house because why? Because the average home in America cannot be afforded by the average income earner in America. See, that's economic policy. And so she's starting to feel, wow, that's starting to impact me too as well. I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years ago here in Dallas, the average home is $100,000, $200,000 a year. High ones, low twos. Today, over $500,000. Last night I did a workshop in my office in Carrollton, Texas, and I had a realtor there in the office. As I asked her, listen, what's the average home here in the DFW area? She goes, $500K? Okay, $500K. $2,300 for a mortgage, P&I, taxes, another $800-900. Insurance, another $200-300. HOA, another $200-300. Boom. You're looking at a $3,500 monthly mortgage payment. A lot of people aren't even bringing that home. They don't pay a mortgage with that. So that's what I'm talking about. The average person in America cannot buy the average house in America due to bad economic policy. So let's jump into this debate here between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. So, Joe, would you cue up the first one on economy?
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
Oh, there you
So
go.
let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country.
Yes.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Great question.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
Yes or no?
And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class
Word
and
salad.
working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American
It wasn't the answer for the
people.
question that was asked.
And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand,
Why did they do that now?
his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that...
Pause. So, okay, she's putting a lot there. First of all, she didn't answer the question to the moderator. Is the economy today better than it was 4 years ago? What do you think? Put it in the comment section. Put it in the comment section. Do you think, honestly, do you think, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, because I'm going to give my iteration here in 30 seconds. Do you think that the economy today, 2024, is better than off than it was in 2016, 17, 18, 19, leading into the pandemic in 2020? That's number one. Number two, really? You want to support small businesses? This current administration, guess what they did during COVID? They crushed small businesses. You want to talk about doing something for a small business, something that's in your heart? Well, if your heart was there all along, then you would have given birth to policies and bills that would have helped entrepreneurs. I know, well, Matt, what about PPP loan? Great. That's one. And a lot of what's going on with our economy today is not necessarily new jobs being created. It's what they call bounce back jobs. I mean, the jobs that people are now going back to, they're bouncing back and just taking those jobs that were left behind 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago. So it's not like new innovation, new jobs have been created. Listen, I've been an entrepreneur now for 25 years. I built my business to and through the pandemic and didn't lay off one person. Didn't ask. I didn't ask and apply for the PPP loan. Didn't lay off one person. But guess what? Guess what our business did? We exploded in business. Why? Because now we're waiting for government. We're not waiting for a policy or government change. We just don't want the government to be on the way. I did a reaction video to an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, who's still paying his rent on his restaurants, still paying his staff, still paying the benefits. He's hemorrhaging all this cash, and he couldn't open up the restaurant? And Biden at that time didn't have an answer. Kamala Harris, who's part of the, Vice President Kamala Harris, is part of that administration, didn't have an answer for a way to help entrepreneurs. Way too much too late. And I don't even know how you're going to execute that. The other area that she talked about in this video was discussing ways for her to help the average home because there's a housing shortage. Well, here's why there's a housing shortage. Because builders out there, homeowners out there, it's so expensive for them to acquire the raw materials to buy a house. Because the interest rate has been up. So much like inflation, the cost of wood and nails and metal and cement have all shot up. So therefore the cost of building a house has increased versus what it was in 2016, 2020. So I will answer this. No. I don't think, and I don't know if you think, maybe I might be wrong. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. Big reason why we moved down here from Chicago to Dallas, Texas, because the economy in Chicago was being challenged and also our safety. Big restaurants downtown, good friends of mine. Billy Deck, who owns a restaurant called Sunda. Friends of mine who owns a dealership downtown, Mr. P, Perillo's BMW in Chicago, all broken into during the pandemic, broken into during the riots. In the restaurants, the blood, sweat, and tears, the love, their money, the risk, all shattered because people broke into the restaurants and a car dealership. And still breaking in. Mr. P's dealership, we bought a couple cars from him, and the watch cabinets were broken into. Armed guards during the day in Chicago stole all the watches, and these walked out. And by the way, all the car salesmen, they're armed. And they're like, do we engage? Do we not? Just let them go. Just let them stuff. Just let them go. So no, I don't trust that this current administration is going to help, or Vice President Kamala Harris has a better plan to help. Otherwise, she would have done it already. I'm just curious, Trump, what's your thoughts here? If we can fast forward to Trump's answer, maybe we can just skip forward. Let's find out what Trump's answer is to fix the economy. I wonder if he has an answer.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Sure. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China.
That's
in
right.
fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look,
true.
We've had a terrible
Low
economy
inflation.
Because inflation which is really known as
During
a
his
country
administration.
buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that,
How could she shake her head?
Millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country.
Pause. Pause there. So, okay, he's slipping. So Trump got away from the answer of economy. He's slipping into the border crisis. Okay, I wish he would stayed more on point. Come on, Trump. I wish he would stayed more on point in terms of what he's going to do for the policies that's going to help ignite a refreshed economy, to help put more money in your pocket, to help you as an entrepreneur innovate and create, because whether interest rates are low or some incentives to spur innovators and creators and generators, I didn't hear that from Trump. But I will say, though, that the 4 years in terms of economy under Trump put more money in our pocket. I was having an argument with a family member who says, what has Trump done to help us out? Give me one policy. I said, listen, brother, the reason why I'm sending you money on a monthly basis is because I don't have to pay this in taxes. Instead of paying this in taxes, guess what we're doing? Redirecting it instead of our pocket, we're putting it in your pocket. Do you like retirement? There you go. There's a direct policy change, tax cut change that's benefited you. And you don't even know it. Why? Because you're getting it. You're getting it for free. You don't have to work for it. That's why I believe so much in the philosophy of earning it. That's why I have a t-shirt that's out there. It's called Earn It. Let's go. Let's earn it. Everything that you work for, you earn, you will value. Things that you don't get by earning it, you get for free, and you feel entitled about it. Guess what? You don't value it. You don't appreciate things that are given for free long term. So listen, I think there's a drop here where Trump could really address the issue in the time frame that we just watched this. I really wish he would have shared policies on how to fix the economy. So right now, I don't know. Right? I will say, though, the current administration, Vice President Kamala Harris, doesn't have a clear answer. Neither does Trump. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next topic here. On board, I think it's border security. Border security is next. Okay, let's go to border security.
With the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden?
I'd love to hear this answer.
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country.
Well, no kidding.
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings.
But it hasn't been done.
You know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Pause real quick. Wait a minute. He called people on the Republican side to kill the bill. I'm sorry. He has not been in office for the last 4 years. He has been in office for the last 4 years. So how could he be in the voting process to kill a bill if he's not been in office for the last 4 years? I'm confused. Now, I mean, he might have some influence and made some calls, but at the end of the day, how much weight does that really have when he's not in office? So let's continue. Jordan, thanks.
And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something.
Okay, pause. Yeah, he was putting up a wall. He was putting up a wall. He had a solution to the problem. He was putting up a doggone wall that this current administration said, nope, take down the wall or don't continue building it. We're here in Texas. We actually went down to the Rio. We went to what's that place? In the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley down in Texas. Jordan, what's the name of that city all the way down south? McAllen, Texas. Okay, went down to McAllen, Texas. I did a live video right there in the Rio Grande. And guess what? You know, I saw it. If you have never been down to the southern border, there is no fence. There is no wall. It's the Rio Grande River. You can swim right across and end up in America and just kind of, And I did a live video from there years ago, And my Latino friends were laughing. I said, Matt, go down to that stop sign here by the tree. Why? Because I left my chancletas there. It was fun, all in fun. But there's no border wall. There's no guards there. And guess what? The whole time, the last 3-4 years of my observation, now I may be wrong again, my last 3-4 years of my observation of this border crisis, I had David Jerry Harris Jr. on, and he says the one issue right now, this current administration, where America is at right now, is the southern border. 10 million people since then has illegally crossed the border, at least that we know of. Dangerous people. And by the way, my family lives in Denver, Colorado, in that suburb they were just talking about in Aurora, where a Venezuelan gang has taken over a whole apartment complex. And when you're looking at the southern border crisis, there has been no wall. Listen, I was in the Marine Corps. And guess what we always defended? The wall. We had watch on post. Well, how can you have watch when there's no post? There's no wall. It's kind of ambiguous in terms of what the border is. And when you're looking at folks that, on top of that, now have crossed over and taken resources, they're kicking out veterans from veteran homes, so therefore these illegal migrants, these illegal aliens are coming. By the way, how come they stop calling them illegal aliens? They're calling them migrants now. It's a little bit of a softer word, but at the end of the day, it's illegal aliens. They're calling them migrants. Why do you have to change the nomenclature of the names that you're using to call people what they are? Well, that's what's going on right now. So I'm just curious about what Trump has to say about this crisis. So let's fast forward, Jordan, a little bit in terms of what Trump has to say about what he would do.
And then show respondents to the
They killed that bill, and successfully so. That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said
you got
people
fact
start
checking
leaving.
here.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So
All right, pause
she
real quick.
can't talk about.
Pause. I believe this is the part where I just saw some other clip. She goes, why don't you go attend some of Trump's rallies? Are you sure you want to say that, Vice President Kamala Harris? You want to tell the American people to go visit Trump's rallies? I saw the clips about this portion of what he said earlier. We just skipped over it right now. But she goes, go visit Trump's rally. And by the way, I've got a lot of friends who've been to Trump's rally. And excitement, enthusiasm, pumping up the crowd. You know, and her rallies, by the way, was what he's saying? Not very exciting. And by the way, I know a little bit about rallies. We just put 6,000 people in the MGM Grand Arena a month ago. I know the work it takes to put people together, to unite people under a cause, to invest in themselves, invest in the movement. I don't see very many of that in Kamala Harris's rallies or, at that point, Joe Biden's rallies. Let's continue.
That people don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it.
Yep.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Wow.
I just want to
Pause. Venezuela on steroids. Now, he said a couple extreme things in the last iteration here, the last 60 seconds. What do you think? What do you think is the situation on the border? Are you concerned about it? Are you not concerned about it? Is it an issue? Is it a non-issue? Please, I want to know. Please put in the comment section below. What do you think is the level of priority with the southern border and the lack of security of illegal people coming here to our country? With that being said, let me ask you a question. Why do you have a door on your house? Why do you have a remote to lock your door when you leave your car at the mall before you go shopping? Why do you have a car seat for your children because you want safety, you want security, you want to think that the things that you love and care about are protected and safe. Well, the thing we love and protect and cherish is this country. And a lot of people are just coming to this country, kicking down doors or just running over the border and claiming the same benefits that many of you and I have without being a citizen. And if we are funding this tax system and those tax dollars are used for folks that haven't paid taxes or aren't a citizen, how do you feel about that? Now, I'm an immigrant family. Our family came here from the Philippines, as well as many of my friends and family, whether you're Filipino or Cambodian or Venezuelan, except my barber's Venezuelan. A lot of us. The guy that cut my hair a few years ago, he's from Iraq, served our country by being an interpreter, earned his citizenship by being an interpreter to come to the United States. So many people are here just crossing the border just because, and they feel that they have rights, they have benefits, and on top of that, they're running amok in our neighborhoods and causing crime and mayhem. And you want to support that? I don't know. That's something you got to think about. Again, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. Put it in the comment section below. What do you think? Is this an area priority that we should be concerned about? Speaking of an area that we need to be concerned about, this is the next topic here on the LGBTQ positioning and mindset. So let's play. We haven't got time. Let's play the first link of the LGBTQ or the second link. Okay, the second link. Okay.
Because Kamala Harris, she's desperately trying to win over Gen Z. So much so, she launched her campaign. What's going on here? With drag queens as well.
Of course.
Your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.gov.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Now on with the show.
And remember, you better vote.
Pause right quick. Okay, so can I get an amen? Listen, I usually that term or that phrase is used by Christians and believers. Can I get an amen? Because they believe in their faith, they believe in the Lord, they believe in God. Elohim, Adonai, we believe in God, Jesus, using that phrase. How do you feel about somebody from the LGBTQ community using that phrase? Do you feel defensive about it? Do you feel that there's an irony behind it? I don't know, okay? Well, again, I want to know what you think. Put it in the comment section below. Do you feel off-put by somebody in the LGBT community talking about, can I get an amen? Because I know some of the same reasons why the LGBTQIA plus community uses a rainbow for their flag is because it's supposed to mock Jesus, because the rainbow after Noah built the ark, and now the dove finally found land, that God put a rainbow to show his people that my promise to you, this ain't going to happen again, man. I love you. I honor you. But you can't be doing the way you were because of the way I flooded the earth. And so God's promise was the rainbow. And so the LGBTQIA plus community uses the rainbow as another way to say, okay, God, screw you, God. Angry at you, God. And we'll mock you, God. That's why the rainbow is the flag for that community. And so when you're looking at the LGBTQ community, okay, by the way, what you do in the bedroom and how you live your life, do your thing, man. Do your thing. My business of what you do in the bedroom and your sexual leanings and proclivity has got nothing to do with how I live my life. And please, do it. However, with that being said, don't push the way you are in the bedroom or the way you are onto me. If I'm not pushing up on you, you should not be pushing up on me. The problem we have with a lot of people is that the LGBTQIA agenda and indoctrination is infusing itself in our school systems, in our campuses, in our high schools, and it's confusing a lot of people. Now, when you're looking at this, I'm confused about it too as well, because some horrific books about sexual orientation are now in today's books. There's a pastor goes out there and talks about these books in the public school system. I shouldn't have to see that in the public school system. We should have a little bit more respect and honor and dignity in terms of what our kids read in the public school system. So therefore, you as a believer, as an entrepreneur, as a millionaire, aspiring millionaire, you have one of two choices. Either you pull your kids out of the public school system and put them inside private school, or you pull them out of the public school system and do homeschool. And so that's your choices. If you don't trust the public school system, which goes back to what? Now you need to make more money. Now you got to take your finances a little bit more seriously. In terms of my thoughts and reaction, what's going on there with the LGBTQ community, Trump's like, listen, I'm not a fan. I believe in he and she. He also says, I believe in IVF. He's one of the biggest fans of people getting pregnant and having kids. And by the way, do you guys realize that we have a potential birthing shortage in America? That there's less and less people having kids in America? And by the way, is that good for the country or bad? It's bad. It's bad for the country. You want a good chunk of your population in the younger demographic, and as it gets older and older, there's less, because that means there's new growth, there's new future, there's new innovation, there's new creation. When you have more of your population as the youth, they can tap into the wisdom of the older ones, so therefore they can bless the younger generations. They can tap into that wisdom, so therefore they can lead the next generation with wisdom, just not intelligence or smarts, but with wisdom by tapping into the wisdom and experience of the older generation. So let's go into the next issue in terms of abortion.
They have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's 52 years. Every legal...
I just say this as a Christian, as a believer, as a man that loves God, honors God, and wants to represent the kingdom of Jesus Christ. I will just say this. If you have the sin of having premarital sex, by the way, from not a judgmental standpoint, I did that shit. Okay? I'm not saying that it's right or justified, but I didn't know about how to live a Christ-like life before I was in my mid-20s. So I came across believers that led me to the Lord. And by then, it was I had 3 kids from 2 different relationships. Got 2 baby mamas. But not once did I ever think, even though I was broke, I was busted, disgusted, down on my dimes, did I ever think for a second, once they told me, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm like, great. The last thing I would be thinking about is this shit, abortion, killing a life. I believe, listen, you might disagree with me, but I believe in my opinion with my relationship with Christ, that as soon as a child is accepted, that is a life. It's got a heartbeat. I've got 3 kids. As soon as I found out they were pregnant, we went out and we went to the, what do you call it, the audio deal. And I listened to the heartbeat. How excited I was to hear my child in the womb of the belly. And when I got married, to hear my son, boom, 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 boom. Can't tell you, man. It's God, man. It's all God. I cannot think for a second. It's a miracle that I would eliminate. That would eliminate God's miracle. Again, you might have different views on this, and please put it. If you disagree with me, now, of course, abortion, rape, and incest, those things you got to reconcile to as well. I believe that's a life. But I've got a friend here who's calling into the show. His name is Liddell Buggs, real estate investor extraordinaire. Good friend of mine here in the northern Texas area, in the Plano, Frisco area. Liddell, what's going on, big dog?
How you doing, brother? Doing all right, man?
Thanks for being part of the podcast. What's on your mind?
No problem. Well, man, thanks for the invitation. I watched the entire
Debate?
Debate, man. It was interesting. I agree with all your points. Trump did not perform well from an oratorial standpoint, but at the exact same time, from a policy standpoint, Kamala Harris did not perform well as well also. I think they both kind of lacked on providing substance.
Yep.
But there was two goals. Kamala Harris's goal was twofold. Number one, she wanted to make this more about character. Trump man bad. And her whole thing was to get under his skin. I think she did.
Project 25. Like, I'm not associated with that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And then number two, she wanted to give assurance to her base that she was competent, because the narrative out there for her was she was not competent. I think she did a good job there from a base standpoint. On Trump's side, Trump did a little bit on policy. He didn't pivot very well, but I'm not surprised because Trump is not really a good debater. Typically, CEOs or moguls are not really good at debating. They're good at negotiating. That's why we as business owners, we hire attorneys to talk for us. And
debate it out for us. Right.
Exactly. So I'm not surprised by that at all, period. I think what's going on is this debate did not change anyone's mind. Or if it did, very little.
Well, it was a lot. I would say it was a whole lot better than the Biden-Trump debate a couple of months ago. Gosh. Yeah.
There, I would say this here. What's going to be the deciding factor for the independents, which is really the middle road, is going to be the economy, stupid. That's what it is. You made a good point up front when you said that the cost of buying a home, maybe in the real estate, is a lot higher than it was 4 years ago. That is correct. Yep. When it comes to interest rates, it's a lot higher than it was to borrow debt to buy a home than it was 4 years ago. That is correct. I think that the vice presidential debate is going to be probably a better debate because I think J.D. Vance is more seasoned when it comes to presenting facts, as well as Tim Walz.
Yep.
But number two, if you notice after the debate, who actually called for a second debate? Kamala Harris did. Now, why would she do that if she wanted to debate? Because of the fact that the polling showed 24 hours later that nothing moved at all.
Yeah.
Nothing moved at all, brother.
Well, I would say, of course, you got to look at both media outlets, right? ABC, NBC, CBS, right? It's 50-50. Fox, 92%, Trump won. So,
of course.
But listen, brother, I appreciate your insight into the show. We're wrapping up, man, and we got to catch some prime rib or something, man, some prime steak once again.
And this time it's going to be on me. This guy here, guys, never lets people pay. Hold them accountable. I need to pay. We need to compete for paying for checks. But, man, God bless you, man. Love the show, man.
Appreciate you, big dog. That's what happens, bro, when you hang out with rich people. You know, we fight for the bill.
That's good, man. God bless you, man.
God bless you and your family, too, as well, brother. So that's Liddell Buggs. You guys need to connect. I'll put his link in to connect with him, too, as well. Great man of God and great entrepreneur, husband. Got a beautiful family. But I'll say this, too, as well. You know, I'm looking at the Trump debate, and one thing that I just didn't like what Trump said was dogs and cats. You know, the illegal immigrants are eating that. You know, I think Kamala Harris's downfall is she didn't have a clear answer about the economy. Remember, that's the number one thing on my list. She didn't have a clear answer. It's been a mess since her and President Biden's administration has been there. Didn't have a clear answer. And I don't know, if you are going to vote for somebody and you want to pay the bills and you work hard and you want to have something to show for, you want to buy a house, you want to go vacation, you want to do what money does for you to live your best life possible. Is having the right president, in your opinion, the most important thing in terms of the economic in terms of economic strategy and policy to help unlock your potential and to reduce government involvement, to increase your creativity and innovation, so therefore you can go out there and be the person that you've always dreamt of? I mean, that's what this country's all about. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I pray over our country. I pray for you watching this. I pray that you leverage your vote to utilize it, that you leverage everybody in your family to go vote too as well. And I pray over our country. I pray over our decisions for our country. Shit, I even pray for our enemies, that they are under the foot of God in heaven. And that's the kingdom I'm a part of. And I pray that as a Christian, as a believer, that you're not afraid as a believer to get involved, or at least understand politics, to understand what God, listen, we are here to vote for the rulers of our country that serve us, not the other way around. You know, the very famous president, he says, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That was JFK. Sadly murdered right here and assassinated right here in Dallas here, right down the street here in downtown Dallas. But that was a Democratic message. Is that a Democratic message today? The Democratic message today is, hey, we're going to do this for you, do this for you, do this for you, and then you vote for us. Not what you can do for our country. So I think our country just needs an injection of God, an injection of patriotism, injection of ownership over all of our responsibilities that it's in us. It's in our innate nature to do what's best for the future of our family and for those we love and care about, if we're willing to work hard, put in the effort to improve, and just make those dreams happen, baby. It's happened in my life, happened to many of the people that we coach in our offices, and I pray that it happens to you too as well. That being said, please put your comments below. You agree with me? Don't agree with me? We'd like to know. Maybe we feature that on the future podcast down the road. That being said, guys, please subscribe, hit like. We got future content. By the way, a lot of my future content going down the road is how you can build a sales team. It's one thing to be in sales, but how do you build a sales team? One of the biggest fortes of my career is I've been able to build sales teams that have created more financial independence and freedom and latitude in life without having to be worried about the next deal. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to build a sales team. We're going to create some content here in the future about building a sales team. Of course, we're going to be talking about more faith and finance. A lot of you on IG, a lot of you here on YouTube said you love my perspectives on economics and God. I was at the Vault Conference last week, stopped by many people that watch the 7 Figure Squad YouTube channel, said, Matt, we love your content. By the way, these people from Ireland, Norway, Canada, they said, Matt, we love your content when it comes about economics and God. Well, you said that. I will react. I will create for you. That being said, again, please subscribe, comment section below, and make sure you share those people that you love and care about and you want to bless with this mindset about how God potentially, in my perspective, I could be wrong, but how you could look at the political environment we are at today. God bless you guys. Until we meet again. Continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today. Bye-bye. See you next week.